Hello and welcome. My name is Kari. This is Tiger Lily, and welcome to Knitting with Tiger Lily. If you're finding me for the first time, welcome. Today you have stumbled upon the first in a series of Knitting with Tiger Lily. What does that mean? What are we going to do? I am going to walk you step by step on making a beanie. Easy peasy. You can do it. I am a new knitter. I have started knitting about 18 months ago. I am a cross stitcher, project library. I'm a quilter, lots of quilt fabric, embroidery floss, sewing machine, vintage machine, all the things. But I got bit by the knitting bug about 18 months ago. I dove right into beanies because I'm not really a scarf fan. So after some trial and error and learning and figuring out what works for me, I have now feel real comfortable knitting beanies. They're my favorite things to do. And so I'm working with my community in the making world. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Patreon, I'm here on YouTube. If you are finding me, I would love for you to join the Tiger Lily family. What we have decided is my family, my community, some of you guys want to learn how to knit too. Now, I am by no means, disclaimer, asterisk, bullet point right here, I am by no means an expert in knitting. This is, like I said, new knitter. But hey, if you are a new knitter and want to learn from somebody who is new-ish, learn from my mistakes, learn with me, learn what works for me, then you're in the right place. So what I have decided here, we are going to be doing, I have a Tiger Lily completely free 2024 Beanie-A-Long. So that's what I wanted to do it. There's lots of my stitchy friends. If you're a knitter and you're like, what is a stitchy friend? Cross stitch is something that I love. The world of floss tube. Don't go down the rabbit hole unless you're ready. But there's lots of my stitchy friends who wanted to try the world of knitting, and I thought this would be perfect. So I have taken it upon myself. I have a 3-page, fully functional, totally free PDF tutorial of your first beanie. Now, if you're an experienced knitter, it doesn't have to be your first beanie. Maybe you learn something, maybe you won't, maybe you're just here for the community. Either way, I love for you to join. What we're doing is I am going to teach you step by step. You don't have to know about knitting. You don't have to know all the lingo, because if you're a knitter, you know there's lots of lingo. There's lots of vocab words. I feel like there should be a test at the end. There's not going to be a test. We're going to run through the different gamuts of different things, kind of give you like a knitting 101. So you're going to feel comfortable and confident. And at the end of this 4-week series, all here on YouTube, you're going to have your own beanie, and you're going to be able to choose your own fabric. So here's my 2 samples. Here's the one that I'm working on right now. Lots of choices. And I'm going to teach you to not only be successful in this hat, but you can make it custom. That's the great thing. Listen, if you're welcome to the world of knitting, Ravelry is going to be your new best friend. Ravelry, which I'll link below, is a website and or app. If you use the Rabbit app, I will link that down below too. But Ravelry is a website for knitting patterns. There are zillions of knitting patterns, and there's a zillion beanie knitting patterns. I did not reinvent the wheel. There's no need to. But what I have done is I tried to make it, this is my magic beanie. It's not magic. It's just a little bit of math and a little bit of measuring for the person that you're going on, and a little bit of gauge swatching, and you're going to make the perfect fitting beanie. That was one of the biggest struggles I had when I first started knitting, is I was bombarded. Sometimes there's too much information out there, and I was overwhelmed with all the information and all the things. And I knit a couple different ones, and I followed the directions. You know, it's knitting and purling. There's nothing fancy here. This is just a vanilla, which is a terminology knitters use for simple. It's just a straight knit stitch for the most part, except for the ribbing, but that's just a purl and knit. So again, it's simple. Vanilla beanie hat. This is not hard, but the fact is there are so many different gauges. There's so many different types of yarn. There's so many different how you knit. Okay, so there's 3 components that go into gauge, and we'll talk about that later. I'm not going to talk about gauge swatching today, but that is something we are going to talk about. And that's the great thing about my Beanie-A-Long is I have done the math and the measurements, and I have it all ready to go. So any yarn, any needle, any tightness or looseness that you knit, however you knit, each individual knitter will succeed and come out with a beanie. I'm so excited. We're going to do this together, like I said. But today, welcome. Today, where do you get this Beanie-A-Long? Now, this Beanie-A-Long, again, is going to go along with the videos. I am as a learner, as a consumer of education myself, I learn visually. So that's how I like to teach. Any of the patterns I've ever written, I have keeper patterns. I have lots of other patterns that you can get on my website, but I always include a video instruction, an instructional exclusive video with my written patterns. I learn better in combination, written and video. Do it along with me. Pause me. Do it. Come back and unpause me. I've got a lot of positive feedback on my instructional videos. And I know that that works best for me, and maybe that's what works best for you. So again, you can use this by yourself, but it's gonna make 10 times more sense if you come back and follow along in this video series. So the link down below will take you where you can go and grab this PDF. Today's video is gonna be about materials only. So what you need to gather between now and day 1 so that you are ready to knit along with me. So this will officially start, like I said, this is gonna be a 4-week-long series. We're going to come back here every Monday. So this is going to start on Monday, February 5th. You will see, YouTube will tell you when the video is going to come, all the things. Don't worry, but that's when you're going to start. So by Monday, you want to make sure you have all your ingredients and all your materials ready to go because we're going to dive right in, okay? But today I'm going to tell you what you need to do. So step 1. Down below, as well as there's a QR code right here. This QR code will take you where you want to go. This will take you to my Amazon storefront. What that means is I have put all of these things for easy click add to carts for your shopping ease, really. If you're a new knitter, sometimes it's overwhelming. If you go to Amazon and you type in and you search something, again, too many options is many times overwhelming. I'm overwhelmed all the time. So I made it real simple. So I'm going to show you a couple different things. They're all in my Amazon storefront in the Knitting with Tiger Lily tab. I have a knitting tab, a cross-stitching tab, a quilting tab, depending on what you're doing with me. But in the knitting store, it has all of these items, these exact items, all I got there, and you can go and grab them and add them to cart. The only thing you cannot get with the Amazon click is your yarn, and we're going to talk about that at the end. So let's talk about everything besides the yarn first. So step 1, like I said, your pattern is going to tell you everything you're going to need, but I'm going to run through it and show it to you and show you some of the options, whether you're ready to go big and do all the things, or whether you want to start off small and just get like 1 or 2 things. I'm going to show you the options so you have choices. Step 1, yarn. Asterisk. We're going to come back to that one, okay? Okay, so, because yarn kind of needs its own little subcategory. The next one is knitting needles. Now, knitting needles, listen, there's all kinds of knitting needles. There's the long fixed point ones. We are knitting a beanie. We won't be using those ones. We are going to be working on circular needles. What am I going to put this on so you guys can see? So this is a 16-inch circular. This is one of my favorites. This is Knitter's Pride. So you can buy 16-inch fixed needles like this in all the different sizes. Now, you're going to need 2 different sizes of circular needles. You're going to need your main body size. This is your main body, right? Which is all just the knit stitch. And then your ribbing is done in 1 size smaller. That's what this is done. So you're going to need these needles. This is a size 5, US 5. So when you buy needles, there's two different measurements that are always given on needles. There's a US and a number. Or it also has millimeters. So I always use the US. It's just what I'm more comfortable with. So for both of these hats right here, which I used a DK yarn, we'll talk about what that means later, but I used a US 6 and a US 5. 6, 5. That's it. Okay. So you're going to need a set of 16-inch circular needles in your main body size and one size smaller, as well as you're going to need a set of DPNs. That's my preferred method of choice for doing the crown. Once you get up to the top, you've got a lot less stitches. It won't go around on this 16-inch circular. We're going to talk about it, don't worry. But my preference, there's two ways to do this, magic loop or DPNs. I'm going to show you the DPN method. Now here's just a regular DPN set where you can just buy one set at a time. So you can get these as well. These are going to be in the same size. You'll see this says US size 6. So you need this to be in the body size of the needles. So you're going to need 3 different needles for this one hat project. Body circulars, ribbing circulars, and double pointed, same size as body. Okay, so you can buy them all individually. That's option A. These run, well, they used to have a price on it. They run anywhere from 13 to 18, depending on Amazon, depending on your knitting shop, depending on where you get them, things like that. But a singular set of 16 inches is going to run you about that. The DPNs are a little cheaper. Like these are from Michael's, actually, not Amazon, but you can get options and they can come in either metal or wood. You can see these are the wood and you can get all different options, but I will link you down to the Knitter's Pride wood series. These are my favorite circulars that I use. It's what's on my hat right there. There you go, right there, size 6. Because I already used the 5s, and that's where they're now. Or you have your option if you're like, I'm going to be a knitter, like, let's just do this. I'm ready. I'm going deep in. I don't need these like onesie twosie sets. I'm diving in deep. I've got some options for you. So you can also invest in interchangeable needles. Now, what does that mean? So you have, those are fixed. Those are the same size, the cord's not coming off the point. That's it. These are only a size 5. The end. And you buy these individually. You do need 5. I'll show you why later. But you get 5 double pointed needles. What does that mean? That means there's a point on both sides. So you're knitting from both sides. We'll talk about it later. Don't get scared. It'll be fun. So I do have interchangeable and sets for both of these. So I'm just going to show you that in case that's something that interests you. Now, this is one of my favorite because once I bought these once and I knew I was going to need them for all different sizes. And rather than buying them all individually, I bought this Knitter's Pride set. So it's the same company, but it's the set of their DPNs. Meaning it's every single size and it goes up to a 9. So this goes up to a US 9 and it starts with the US 0. So it goes from 0 to 9. And these are the ones that I have right here in my hand that I've been using for my hat. And they just pop right in and they have, it's just a fancy, very convenient, very easy, but it's also, it costs more. That's just all there is to it. But this way, it's a lot cheaper than buying, 10 individual sets to buy them all at once. So this is an option. And then the same thing, but different, is offered for circular needles. Now, I couldn't resist. It's pink. If you know, you know. I love pink. And so these are the Likey interchangeable sets. So what does that mean? That means these are the tops. See this little point right here? So it's made to make smaller circular needles. And then in this package below, you get the different cords. So it's just a little screw And it shows you right here, so you can see, here's the little screw heads. It tells you their sizes. Their sizes are etched on these metal pieces. So right here, so I could pull out the number 5s, pull out the cord that equates to making a 16-inch circular, screw on one end, screw on the other end, and it's good to go. This is great because then when it's time to change needles, rather than having to kind of knit your way on and off a set of needles, you just change the needles heads and you're good to go again, going around and around. It also comes with a stopper set, as well as these are the tools to use to change your needles. Again, this costs more. It's just, there's no two ways about it. But you basically get 9 sets of needles, and 9 sets of needles at $15 a piece. It's cheaper than that. I don't remember exactly how much it was. I will have it linked. I got this on Amazon. I will have it linked down below. It might be in a different colorway, but the concept is still the same. This is the shorties. You need to pay attention. They do offer interchangeable needles for longers, but with the beanies, we need the shorties. So the tips are only 3.5 inches. They're short little tips that get added to the cords to make your 16-inch circular. Are you overwhelmed yet? Don't be. I am here for you. If you have any questions while we get ready and prepped for the Beanie-A-Long, I'm going to do and schedule a couple Instagram lives, and we're going to come on. You guys can ask questions while you're shopping, while we're doing the things, to make sure that you know what we're looking for. Maybe show me what you got. You got out of your grandma's sewing biscuit. Let's see what we got. Like, I don't know. We will figure it out. No worries. Okay, so those are needles. Okay, so we need some needles. We also, the rest of it's pretty easy. That's like the most complicated part. It's really not. It's okay. Those are the needles you need. You also need a set of stitch markers. Now, stitch markers there's a couple different options for stitch markers, and I've got 3 different ones to show you. So, stitch markers. Of course, this is barely empty, but these are XOXO knits, which is just a very popular knitting brand. These are colorful stitch markers. They basically are little metal rings. Okay, and you can get these, I don't even think you can get these on Amazon. I got this at my local L&S, or my local yarn shop. So what you can get, though, is the same concept, but different, on Amazon. And these are the same exact things, but they're little cute hearts. Look, it's a little heart, and it comes with the collection, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50. You need 8. You only need 8, but it comes with 40 or 50 in this set, less than $10. You need 8 for the project, and you need 1 to be different, meaning we're going to use 7 green and 1 pink. We just need the 1 to be different, but that's going to identify for the beginning of round. It doesn't need to be a different kind of marker, it just needs to be a different color, just so you know that this is that one and the rest of them are all different for something else. But that's it. This will get the job done, as well as these are also very popular in the knitting world. These are little, I call them gourd pins. They open up. You don't need them to open up. So these are more popular, I think, for sock knitting, but you can use them as stitch markers. So if you have them, use them. That's great. The next thing I'm going to recommend is a needle stopper. These are ride or die. I'm just going to be real honest with you. These are my favorite $10 doodads ever. It's like a pool noodle. But that's not what it is. But it's like a pool noodle with a hole. They come in different sizes. The package you will get will have different, I don't know, small, medium, large type of diameter of holes. They do stretch a little bit. But that way, if you're having a tiny hole, if you're using a US 5 versus a US 9, your hole is completely different, right? So you just want to get a set. I will, again, have them linked. But this way, when you throw your knitting in your bag and you come back a day or 2 later, your stitches have not fallen off your needles. If this wasn't here at any given time, this little needle, this little stitch would get real close to the edge. Don't do it. And it would fall right off. like I said, these are the ride or die, because falling off, that's one of the things that was a learning curve as a beginner, is repairing your stitches, picking up drop stitches. That can be a little frustrating. So plan ahead, do yourself a favor, don't do it, and make sure you get yourself a pair of these needle stoppers. I have tried the ones that look like points that go on the top. I didn't even bring any out here because they don't work as well. I've dropped stitches with them. For whatever reason, their grippity-doo-dah does not always stay on. And then it's a sad, sad day when you come back and you come back to your needles and you've dropped your point turners off, your point covers off, and you've dropped 1 to 10 stitches. You got to pick them back up. Hope they haven't traveled down. It's a thing. These are my favorite. You can get those. So needle point covers, you will also need, this is probably something that if you're a cross stitcher, maybe you have this, but it's conceptually, it's a tapestry needle. You just basically need a darning needle. We're going to use this to weave in our ends, our start and our finish end at the top. So it's just a big old size 20, I think, DMC tapestry needle. You need some scissors. You need a tape measure. It can be any kind of tape measure, whatever you want, a ruler, tape measure, whatever's handy, whatever you got in your sewing room. And that's it. Yarn 101, really, this is just the basics. I could probably have a whole separate video on Yarn 101, but we're not gonna, because I don't want to overwhelm you. We're just gonna stick with the basics, okay? So I went and I grabbed 3 different sizes. I know I brought 4 yarns because I brought 2 of my favorite. Okay, like I said, yarn comes in all different thicknesses. It goes from lace weight, really skinny, to really fat. The weight of the yarn has to do with the diameter, the thickness of the tube, okay? These are going to be very simple layman terms. There's probably a better video out there explaining it way better. I'm just going to explain it to you from my stitcher's brain turned yarner brain, okay? That's it. Step 1, like I said, I brought you 3 different weights. I do have a favorite and what I'm going to recommend for this Beanie-A-Long, but you do you. You do whatever you want to do. So we're going to talk about the other 2 I brought. I brought fingering, which is thinner. So yarn skeins, when they're hand-dyed skeins, are sold in 100-gram skeins. 100 grams is a weight, right? Okay, so the weight is 100 grams. But based on the thickness of the tube, they come in different lengths. For example, this is a fingering 100-gram weight from Molly, one of my favorites, at Sweet Tea Yarns. In this skein, there's 450 yards of yarn because it's really skinny, so it doesn't weigh a lot to get 100 grams. Compared to, so that's the skinniest one I brought over, is called fingering. Fingering weight yarn is also referred to as sock yarn. It's used very frequently for socks. It's the thin, you use a 1 or a 2 or 1.5 size needle and you knit those little tiny sock stitches. That's why the smaller the yarn, the more stitches you need. So here we are. This is the thicker one. This is worsted. This is from Evergreen Yarn Studio, also one of my favorites. She has a beautiful, this one's called Unicorn. This is her worsted weight, and so there's 218 yards. So so you can see the diameter of that yarn. Can you see the thicknesses and the differences between the two? Worsted and fingering. It just has to do with the weight and the thickness of the tube, of the ply. Both of these are DK. Now DK, why is it called DK? I have no idea. Does it stand for anything? I don't know. I don't think so. They're both just called DK. DK is the one right after fingering. So it is 246, well, there's sport, but let's not get confusing, right? DK is 246 yards per 100 grams. This is Stitching with Yarn, Christy from Oklahoma. And this is Pirate and Robin, another beautiful yarn. And hers is also 246. And you can see this was my Legacy Fiber Arts, DK. And hers is, well, I've cut the tag up, 245. So that's a pretty consistent across hand dyers, the weight. So what does this do? This is going to give you different fabrics. Yeah, I know. We're going to get, so for example, these are gauge swatches. We're going to talk about it later, but this is a gauge swatch. You see how many stitches there are per inch? The thicker the yarn, the less stitches per inch. Does that make sense? Maybe? I didn't. So these are just different gauge swatches. See how much fatter, wider? See how wide those stitches are compared to this one? So that's what a gauge swatch means. You can, these are both the same, so they're going to have the same gauge swatch. What I'm going to recommend, again, ask me questions, let me know, reach out to your other knitty friends. But for my hat, both of these samples, as well as the one on the needles right now, are all DK. This is the Legacy Fiber Arts DK. This was a Pirate and Robin DK. This was a mystery DK that I had from my stash. This is the one I'm going to get up for the Beanie-A-Long. Isn't it like yummy rainbow awesome? So those are the things you're going to need yarn wise. So you can definitely just shop your favorite Etsy shop. I will have some of them linked down below. So go and shop and find a colorway that speaks to you, that makes a fabric. Now I pointed out this in my floss tube video of some dyers, like you look at this and you have no idea what it's going to look like. Is it going, when it in the fabric, you can see this kind of has stripes. This wasn't, I mean, it's hard to know. It's hard to know what it's going to look like. Some yarn dyers will actually have a fabric swatch. It's called fabric, but it's really just the yarn knitted up. We'll have a fabric. This is called like a fabric swatch. We'll have a fabric swatch showing you. This is Malabrigo. This is a beautiful yarn. Malabrigo, if you don't want to do hand-dyed, Malabrigo is a commercially dyed, hand-dyed that you can get on some of the bigger yarn stores. Beautiful, multicolored, very reasonably priced versus the hand dyed. You do you. You can also go to your big box stores if you want to get a yarn there. You just want to take into consideration fiber content. All the ones I've shown you here are all merino wool. Again, I could probably have 3 videos on the differences of yarn and weights and contents and things. Wool. The end. That's what I'm using. These are all 100% superwash merino wool. It's just the easiest. The superwash means that you can wash it. You should not dry it. Don't dry it. Wool, drying. I don't need to tell you what that means, right? Shrinking. But the superwash means that it's treated, and you could, but we're not gonna. But it's easy. It's set yourself up for success. Set yourself up for success. Okay, 100% superwash merino wool. If it has a little bit of nylon, I don't think any of these do. No, this is 100%. The nylon is usually to give it some stability. Like this fingering weight has 75-25. This is all 100%. That's just all there is to it. That's just what works. But the Malabrigo is also one that you could get. But if you go to your big box store, you just want to take into consideration the content, the fiber content. Acrylic is going to act differently. Cotton's going to act differently. Bamboo, viscose, it's all going to act differently. This is 100% superwash merino wool. Again, 2 pieces of equipment I'm going to show you because they're in the shop, but you do not need them. You do not need them. They're 100% excessive. But I'm just going to show it to you anyway. You have a ball winder. okay? This is a fancy Knitter's Pride multicolor. So what does the ball, to make your yarn that looks like this into a ball, they call it a cake. I don't know why, but to make your yarn from a skein to a cake, you will need to do two things. One is you're going to need to get a buddy, get a friend, and I'm going to show you how to wind, or I'm going to give you to a video that shows you, because that's what I did the first couple times, is Patrick was like this with his hands, and I wound it on my own wrist. And that was it. 200 yards, winding my own ball. Or you need a Swift and a ball winder. Extravagant, you don't need them. If you were just this is your first time knitting, don't go this big. But if and when you get hooked on the hobby, this is what you're gonna want, I promise. All right, friends, that was it. Those are the materials. There's little yarn basics, all the things. I'm telling you, you can do it. It's gonna be so much fun. So reach out to me, grab me on Instagram message, grab me on the DM, send me an email, send me a question, and if you have any, and we'll get you all set up so we can knit this Beanie-A-Long. I'm so excited for our Beanie-A-Long, and I can't wait to do it with you. So I will be back here. That's it. This is the materials. So now go forth and collect and get ready. On Monday, February 5th, there will be a YouTube, it's telling you upcoming, coming soon timestamps. So it will tell you what time the video is coming up. And we're going to start with step 1 of the Beanie-A-Long. So I'm super excited. I can't wait. I hope you're excited. We're going to do this together. And at the end of the month, you too will have your own hand knit beanie, and then maybe you'll be making beanies for everybody in your family for this holiday season. I might be. Everybody's getting a beanie. So I'll see you next time, friends. Happy knitting.